let's get started. Well, of course, on some very important conversations for every business owner, for every entrepreneur, and this thing up with a product one wants to make sales in their business. The art of selling is a great determinant in ensuring good financial revenues for businesses. And today we'll get the best practices for effective sales as well as factors that enhance sales. Joining me on this conversation is Odunmolorun or Osineye. I hope I got that correctly.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
Okay, so Hiyalo Technologies, what's this about?
So Hiyalo is a technology company that focuses on solving the most difficult problems. We also help with house hunting. We're building a mobile app that connects users to agents real time. So you can access agents real time, chat up with them, book viewings to see apartments. So yeah, that's what we do today.
So looking at what you do at Hiyalo Technologies, how do you approach building rapport with potential clients during sales
I think it's very clear, like everybody kind of understand basically what sales is, right? Sales is, exchanging product or service for, money or finance, right? To create some value and then exchange that value for money. So your question is about building rapport. I think the first thing that is important for every salesperson or every entrepreneur is to deeply care about the problem they're solving and also care about the customers they're solving that problem for. Because when you're trying to build rapport with someone, building rapport basically means that you are building a relationship. You are learning about the person. You're learning to understand the person. It's like going out with a girl on a date that you actually want to date, and then you're trying to get to know who this girl is and what she likes and what she doesn't like, and why, giving her reasons why she should want to be with you. That's what building rapport is about. So when you bring that into business, it's basically caring about your employee. The reason why you're taking that girl out is because you care about the girl, right? And you love her, right? It's important to care about your customers first. And if you deeply care about your customer, rapport is going to be natural, right? Rapport is about asking questions about the problems that they are facing, right? So again, sales, you don't just want to sell something at your customer and just say, hey, this is what we have, just come and buy. So it's about what are your problems, right? How did you even arrive at having this problem? Do you know? How do you solve that problem today, right? I'll use Hiyalo as an example. People house hunt today already, right? Everybody is looking for apartments and they get their apartments. But the process of doing that is very, very stressful, right? Typically today, you are either contacting your friend to get the phone number of the agent that helps them, get their existing apartment, or you go to a property website where pictures are listed, but if I'm going to sell Hiyalo to someone today, what I want to know first is what kind of apartments do you even want, right? Why do you want that apartment? Are you married? What's your income like? Those questions help the clients to feel like I care about them because I actually do. And then, we can be friends. People buy from people that they know most of the time. So I hope that helps.
Cool. I think the old analogy about taking a girl on a date is quite interesting because it's more like you're relating more with the youth, and that's good. But there are sometimes that your customers or your clients, they have like objections with respect to your product or the service that you are offering. What are some strategies for handling objections from customers and turning them into opportunities?
Okay, so this is about objections, right? First, let me quickly just mention that if you find me talking too much, I'm very conscious. I'm very conscious of time. So if you find me talking too much, please feel free to interject.
No, it's
because
okay.
I'm trying
I know what to do.
make sure that
Don't worry. I know what to do.
Yeah. Okay, so about objections, I think first of all, it depends on what kind of objections. every entrepreneur should understand why they are doing what they're doing. And if you understand the value of what you're offering, it's easier on you to convince or help the buyer to see why you are buying. Most of the time, the objections could be the buyer doesn't have the money, is unable to afford that thing. If the buyer is unable to afford the product that you're selling, don't waste the buyer's time and don't waste your time, right? These are stuff that you should figure out while you're trying to build rapport, right? You want to know if the person can actually afford the product. You want to know if the product, they actually have the problem that you're trying to solve, right? If the person does have the problem that you're trying to solve, it's easier to solve that problem. And I think that again, in our experience, Hiyalo launched in December, right? And we're growing really fast, like at an amazingly fast rate. And the reason is very simple: the product that we offer, a lot of people want it, right? Even though it wasn't strategic to be solving this problem, but the fact that a lot of people want the solution that you're creating makes it easy for you to build rapport and avoid objections. However, where objections exist, you want to focus more on the value that you are creating. Help the person to see the value. And where they are unable to afford, where the objection is what they can't afford, you don't waste the customer's time and don't waste your time. Move on or suggest alternatives if you have, right? So if you have multiple products and you have an alternative that maybe is cheaper, then you can suggest, a cheaper alternative.
Odu, I think we should focus more on how you can just turn these objections into opportunities, because you really do not want to keep losing your customers.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel like the customer cannot afford this, but you can't really hold on to that and say, oh, because I think my customer cannot afford my products, then I'm going to let them go. How do you turn these objections into opportunities?
Okay. I think that with specific reference to turning objections into opportunities, you want to consider things like offering them, maybe a better option, right? Now I'm trying to think about. Can you give me specifics, right, in terms of like what kind of objections, right? I know that a very common objection that I experience every day is people who cannot afford the good that I want to buy or that I want to sell, right? And in that case, it's very easier to just offer them a cheaper option. Yeah, give me an example of objection.
Sometimes your customers can give like a feedback as more like a review about your product or what service you are offering. They probably might not be satisfied. That's what I'm saying. How do you turn all of these objections into opportunities for you?
Okay, so fantastic. So now you're being a bit more specific. So in the event that a customer is not satisfied with a service that you have been created, I actually think in reality that is an opportunity, because every entrepreneur, every business, every creator is seeking to grow. And growth opportunities come from identifying, problems, things that are wrong. So if a client gives a feedback that says something is wrong with the service that you have created, typically you can find ways to actually make it up to them, right? Can you offer them, maybe a discount on their next purchase? Are you able to replace that good? For example, there's a common story that I really love to tell about many years ago when Amazon started. People would buy stuff and maybe for some reason they shipped the wrong things to them. Amazon will typically take the good back. In fact, not even take the good back. It was when they used to sell just books. They will send you exactly what you want and then tell you to keep the old one if you don't mind, and then return your money on top of it, right?
Wow.
But there is
running at a loss.
Yeah,
but
so
wouldn't that mean
that's
the business running. I know, I
Yeah,
know,
so
I know.
that's
I think there's a cold stone or something that has a strategy like that. If your order comes in later than 30 minutes, you wouldn't have to pay. But I mean, wouldn't you be running at a loss?
yeah, so that's a very good question, right? And that's the luxury that I would say that companies that have access to capital have, right? Amazon ran at a loss for a couple of years before they became profitable, and that's actually one of the things that you benefit when you are able to raise capital or you have access to capital. It enables you to actually win some market share, right? Over a period of time. So yeah, let me not digress from your question, which is
Yes.
yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
you to now speak. I wanted you to now speak specifically to how you can generally improve overall sales performance.
Okay. So I think the first thing is know your product. Most people
Yeah.
don't know their product.
Mm.
And that's the truth from experience. Most people don't know their product. Most salespeople, they don't know the product. They just want to sell. And they think that because they have something to sell and this thing that they have to sell is good, everybody should buy, right? It really doesn't work like that. And I also think that one of the reasons is also because many people don't put themselves in the shoes of the buyer, right? I think it's important to understand that. So first thing I think is know your product. It's very, very important. Product knowledge is like very, very powerful. Number two, I think would be know your customer. It's
Know
important
your
to
customer.
yeah.
Mm.
So you need to know your product and you also need to know your customer. You need to understand them. You need to understand how they think, how they behave, right? Um, and I'll let out some. I don't know whether to call it cheats because I mean I imagine that a lot of technology companies do that. However, I know that traditional businesses can also do it, right? Is you need to value data. You need to collect data about your customer, right? And
Exactly.
that data helps you to know who they are, know how they think, know how they behave, where do they hang out, right? Why should they want to buy your product? So those things, I'm trying to make sure that I'm also managing time, right? So there is know your product, there is know your customer, then there is care about your customer, right? I think it's important. Some people think of some salespeople as like superstar. It's like this guy comes into the organization and the guy is just selling, right? One of the things that is critical about salespeople that do well is that they genuinely care about their customer, right?
Mm.
They
I think that's a very good point right there. Let's talk about another major P. I mean, you know, the OPs of marketing and all. We
yeah,
talk about the product, people, which are very key. Another
yeah,
thing to consider is pricing, because this is
yeah,
like the source, what connects the seller and the buyer. So as a
yeah,
business owner, how do you handle sales objection as a result of pricing? When
yeah.
the customer
So
says, yeah,
yeah, so I mean I know I mentioned earlier that where it is very clear that the customer cannot afford, you can offer a cheaper option, right? But beyond that, I think that the most important thing when you have pricing objections is value, honestly. Let me give you a very simple example, right? People walk into certain stores and certain
good, good,
right?
good,
People walk into certain stores and
good.
they just pick what they want to buy and then they go home. They go to another type of store and they want to buy the same thing, yeah, but they will try and reduce the price of that thing, right? And it's the same guy. And many of us do it, we all do it. And it's a perception of how we value the product that we are selling, right? It's very important for a salesperson to be able to communicate that value and be able to tell the buyer why the price of that thing is the price, right? If you buy, I don't know if anybody here uses Apple products. Nobody complains when they tell you that the laptop is $2,000. Nobody complains when they tell you that the AirPod is 200K. If you can buy it, just buy it. If you cannot buy it, just go. So I think that's it. There's a secret to it, or not secret. There's a hack to it. The hack is communicating the value. Apple is a champion when it comes to communication of the value of their product. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Really, I'm going to add to your point right there, because the value is really of essence. Personally, I go for value any day, anytime. I'm a brand loyalist. Once I love your product, you're giving me the value I want, because I've seen some products that do not even have much adverts right out there. You don't see much adverts. You have the likes of St. Louis Sugar, you have this sardine, like you do not see much of their adverts, but there is value, and people keep buying and they keep going for this product. Anyway, thank you so much for joining the conversation. We really appreciate your time on the show today. But I don't know if there's one last thing, your final words. What would you like to say before you go?
Now I'm trying to think on my feet. I would say that, I imagine definitely the entrepreneurs are the ones watching this. I would say that I'm sure they all know that entrepreneurship is tough and it's difficult. But I would just want to encourage every entrepreneur to keep doing what they're doing, constantly focus on getting better every day. And I wish you all the best.
Odunmolorun, Osineye, CEO at Hiyalo Technologies. We really appreciate your time on Enterprise Chat and MSME Africa today. Thank you for joining the conversation. It was amazing. It was a nice time talking to you about sales and sales strategies that business owners can adopt. Thank you for joining us once again.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This is where we draw the curtains. We've come to the end of another insightful edition of Enterprise Chat and MSME Africa. I remain Aranimi. But don't forget, you can connect with us on our social media platform on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at MSME Africa. Until we see you next time, goodbye.